Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name's Ryan, and my plane has technical difficulties and kicks me off stream on stuff. All right, boys and girls, we're back and better than ever. No, all right, we're flying again. Boys and girls, on your way in, make sure you hit that like button. Every 25 likes we get, we are going to pick a qualifier for our t-shirt giveaway. All the likes on the last stream, unfortunately, don't count because I don't know how many we had. All right, so we were going around, we were saying who we wanted for picks 10 and picks 4. I had said 𝐒𝐿𝐿 and then Burks or Drake. Matt had gone and said, unless Thibodeaux's there, he wants Neal or 𝐒𝐿𝐿, and then just pick your favorite wide receiver, whether it be Wilson or Burks or London. And Green Bean, you were about to go right as everything went sideways. So Green Bean, what would you do at 10 and 4?
I am not going to switch the way that I've been going. So, like the defense is stronger up top. I would be slightly disappointed if we decided to go tackle with pick number 4. In my opinion, best case scenario would still be one of Thibodeaux or Hutchinson slides. You grab them, and then at 10, Hamilton's there. If not, I'm grabbing one of the best linebackers. You know, whatever linebacker suits me. It looks more like Nakobe Dean would be their type. Saleh likes them a little bit lighter, and Devin Lloyd's pretty big, at least compared to Dean. So that's the way I would go. In the event they wanted to go offense with 1, I think that's fine. Maybe you can go wide receiver. But I don't think there's all that much drop-off from the receivers that you're going to grab in the first and the receivers that are going to be there in the second. And the edge rusher is significantly – there's a greater drop-off. It's a significant difference between the guys you're going to get up top and that you're likely to get in the second round and beyond. So that's what I'd like to see. It's the same thing applies with the safety. Hamilton to the next guy, there's a significant drop-off. So we got plenty of picks. We can do plenty of damage, get a tackle, get whoever's there, Charles Cross, Petit Frere in the second if you want to go tackle, something along those lines. But Trey McBride, we can do a lot for this offense, but not up top because the strength of the draft is defense.
I love it, Green Bean. Absolutely love it. Richie, I want to get your thoughts. What would you like to see done at picks 4 and 10?
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be all about the trenches in the first round. I think we're going to be picking someone defensively in the trenches at 4, offensively trenches at number 10. I think it's going to be I'm going to manifest it. Kayvon Thibodeaux to the Jets at 4. He slides to us, and we get that man. I know it's very unlikely, but like Matt said, somehow he's sliding in all of these mock drafts. So if he slides at number 4, I think it's guaranteed. It's like Joe Douglas has to bring in that card no matter what, even though he probably is going to be high in 𝐒𝐿𝐿 as well. I would love him at number 4. But if Thibodeaux's on the clock, he's the pick. If he's not on the clock, say Hutchinson goes, Thibodeaux goes, and Neal goes, I would definitely be all on board with 𝐒𝐿𝐿 for sure. And say hypothetically we do get Thibodeaux at number 4. At number 10, this might be a bold take, but I like taking Tyler Linderbaum at number 10. I like Joe Douglas getting the best interior offensive lineman in the draft, solidify that offensive line for the future, and pair him up with Elijah Vera-Tucker, move Connor McGovern to the right guard. But that also has a lot to do with, like you guys said earlier, what we do with the wide receiver position in the offseason leading up to the draft, because we don't know if we're going to trade for one, if we're going to sign on free agency. So a lot impacts that decision for sure. In a perfect world, I like the Jets to trade for a receiver and then do the exact draft I just said. That's my ideal one. I feel like Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they align on their vision of building this thing through the trenches. And in my opinion, I feel like Joe Douglas is going to use the first round picks on both people at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's exactly what we heard from the post-season press conference or end of season post-season press conference. It's weird because not postseason as in playoffs, it's postseason as in sorry, your shit's done.
Yeah.
Move on to free agency and the draft and Senior Bowl.
Exactly.
Interesting stuff. So the Kayvon Thibodeaux stuff is interesting because I have seen him dropping in some mock drafts, most notably the Pro Football Focus one that I saw yesterday. And I've kind of had a hunch that was going to be the case, but more so because I thought a quarterback would go at 3. Whether that be the Texans making that pick or trading out, I just sort of think someone's going to rise up and Thibodeaux is going to fall. Now, if he's falling to 4 without a quarterback going, I think it's interesting trying to like kind of break it down. Did you guys see his Fox interview where he talked about the Alabama education And does that concern you at all? Okay, so let me give you guys some insight. So he was on, I guess it wasn't The Herd, but he's talking to Joel Klatt on Fox, and it was just before the national championship game, I think is what it was. And he said something along the lines of like, I chose not to go to Alabama because of the education. I chose to go to Oregon, which sounds a little weird because Alabama's ranked 104th in education and Oregon's ranked like 96th. So there's not like a huge difference. But the way he kind of like spun it was, I don't, if I don't care about school, why would I go to Alabama? Because I'm not getting the education. If I go to Oregon and I don't care about school, at least I'm getting a job with Nike after the fact. So he was setting himself up for a career afterwards, regardless of what happened with football. But the way it came off was really not good. So I think he got some people probably questioning a little bit, maybe, wondering why his stats weren't quite as high as you'd like to see from a top 4 pick for this year. So I think there's probably a few things that go into it, although I would have to imagine once the combine comes around and this guy starts testing, I think, maybe those thoughts would change. Matt, any thoughts on why Thibodeaux may be falling?
Yeah, I think if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, Detroit Lions, and Houston Texans, I want no part of those character concerns that you just listed off right there. That's undraftable. Yes. I just don't. I don't think you can touch him with the 10-foot pole, to be honest with you. No, I don't know. That stuff doesn't really bother me. Who was the offensive lineman who they showed on camera with the bomb?
Andrew Thomas.
No, Tunsil.
Oh, no, that was Tunsil.
Yeah. Tunsil. Well, I mean, he can still play in this. He got traded, but the guy can still play. Like, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
La'el Collins was accused of murder
pretty damn good
on draft day. He wound up going.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he was. Well, he wasn't accused. There was a murder investigation, and he was a suspect. So he wasn't even drafted.
Yeah.
And he got to go wherever he wanted. Creamy, what about you? Any thoughts on why Thibodeaux may be slipping in the eyes of some?
I just want to comment on the Tunsil thing real quick. Remember what it was, Matt? It was like the mask with the bong
mask.
in it.
And
it was the gas. Well, when that came out, those things nobody had really seen those. Those things are mainstream now. Everybody's got one of those. So it's like it looked freakier back then than it does now. I mean, everybody's like, oh, he's just smoking a little weed. What's the big deal? Back then, it looked like he was like a murderer smoking weed, Totally different thing.
Definitely looked a little more aggressive.
Yeah, I was like, what is that thing? And I'm a complete drug addict. I lived on the street for drugs, and I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what is that? That's crazy. So I think the Thibodeaux thing, I mean, you might have a point, Ryan. I didn't even see that. But people do micro analyze all these little details and stuff. So that could have something to do with it. What I think it is the natural tendencies of the offseason, which is they get bored. They get bored talking about the same guy up top. They get bored kind of assuming certain things, and they like to kind of have the drama of the ebbs and flows and the response from everybody. And I think it's more to do with that. And I agree with you. I think if he does perform at the combine, I think athletically he's going to light it up. He's really something else athletically, and I think people are going to lose their minds, and he'll shoot back up to the top. I mean, look what happened with Aiden Hutchinson. It was right after that game. I forget who he was playing when he pointed to the offensive tackle and said, like, I'm coming at you, and then he ran over him and sacked the quarterback and got 3 sacks in that game. It was like right then everybody freaked out, and he had leaped Thibodeaux for in that one game. And I think that's really more of what's going on. It's just the ebb and flow and the cyclical dynamics of the offseason.
So do you think Thibodeaux should be going ahead of Hutchinson, or you think Hutchinson is like first and Thibodeaux would be second?
I think it's probably more to do with what you like. I think there are going to be GMs that prefer Thibodeaux over Hutchinson, and I think there are guys that are going to do the opposite. Me personally, I like that kind of that raw leadership aspect that Hutchinson brings. It's an X factor. It's an intangible. And I think that Thibodeaux might be the more polished of the two, but Hutchinson has that edge to him. So it all depends on what you're looking for. I think, it could go either way. Richie,
what about you? Why do you think Thibodeaux may be falling?
I don't know, but one thing that I was thinking of when we were talking about all this is like, how come the one time the Jets draft a quarterback and then the next year's draft class, we're at the top and there's no quarterbacks? Like, It would be great if there was great quarterbacks in this draft class and quarterback needy teams ahead of us, so we don't have to worry.
Yep.
We can still get the top positional players like a Thibodeaux will fall to us guaranteed for all these players. But that just came in my head. It's a little frustrating that, of course, it's not going the Jets' way. But hey, I can't tell you why Kayvon Thibodeaux stock is falling. I did not see that video that you brought up, Ryan. I'll definitely look into that. But like you guys said, I feel like going into the draft combine, he's going to go out there and just kill it. And he's just going to all of a sudden he's going to remind people of the athleticism and the raw, like what he has physicality wise. He's just different. He's a different breed off the edge. He screams off. The bend is ridiculous. He has every type of, move that you want in a prototypical edge rusher in today's NFL. So I think the Jets will get really lucky if he falls to 4. I don't know if it's likely. It's just really up to what these 3 teams ahead of us are going to be doing. And I also want to say the character concerns. I really trust in Joe Douglas's mindset and his scout team to really dive deep into it, because they really value character. They value passion for the game. They value those type of things. So if there is any character concerns, and maybe that's the reason why he does fall, maybe the Jets pass on him as well, if it really is that big of an issue. But I really genuinely don't believe that he's going to get past at least 4. He's going top 4 for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely recommend going over to YouTube and taking a look at that interview, because it was interesting, because they wind up they show the whole interview with Kayvon and Joel Klatt, and then I don't remember if it was the same video or it was a different video that I was watching, but Greg McElroy comes out and just like roasts Kayvon Thibodeaux. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I came from Alabama and I've got this degree and that degree, and like I'll take you in a Wonderlic test right now. You name the place." And like it got heated. Like it was definitely like an aggressive back and forth. Like there was a lot of people.
Ryan, we got to do the Wonderlic again, dude.
Well, they don't do the Wonderlic at the combine. They stopped it. Yeah, they just. I mean, we could do it. I'm all for it. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So before the combine, what we'll do is we'll all do a Wonderlic, and then we have to write it down on a piece of paper what we got, and we'll show it on stream. And it has to be Scout's honor. But
yeah, I was the lowest, and I thought I went into that thinking I was the smartest. So you never know.
I think our buddy David was the highest.
I think so. Yeah, David beat us.
That sounds right. All right, let's see. I just saw where to go. Disregard Papa. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. He said, I got to figure out how to like get these things like not gigantic in front of our face. I put in help desk tickets. It doesn't work. Disregard Papa. Thank you for super chat. Says, thought on Zach Wilson, bust or not? I don't think so. I think he needs all he needs is a complete offensive line and a couple more weapons, then boom, franchise quarterback. Yeah, look, I'm not calling the kid a bust after 1 year. I would say it's definitely disappointing. If you had told me what we were going to get out of Zach year 1 when we drafted him, I'd be disappointed. But overall, the overarching story is from week 1 to week 18, he got better. And that's all I could really hope for. And he had nothing to play with the last week of the season. So yeah, I agree. You get some offensive line pieces, you get some weapons, specifically a tight end and number 1 wide receiver. Then I think you're cooking with fire. Matt, your thoughts on Zach?
Yeah, after 13 games, I don't think you can call him a bust. I also don't think you can go as far as saying that he's definitely a franchise quarterback, but I think you can say that with a big offseason and the right infrastructure in place, he can take a big leap towards being that in 2022, which is kind of where I'm at. I liked what I saw down the stretch after coming back from injuries. He did a good job of not turning the ball over. I think the touchdown numbers are going to have to come up a little bit. But to me, I just saw a more comfortable player in the second half of the year, and that gives me excitement going into 2022.
Richie, what about you? How you feeling about Zach Wilson?
Yeah, I think it's too prematurely. Just like Matt said, I was going to say the same thing. You can't call him a bust, or you can't call him a franchise quarterback yet. We don't know a full sample size of Zach Wilson just yet. The honeymoon phase is over, so now going into year number 2, we need to make sure that we surround him with the proper weapons and protection. And the best thing that gets me excited about Zach Wilson and going into year number 2 is the continuity factor. Going into the same system, having the same guys around him that he's familiar with, like Elijah Moore, Michael Carter. And the continuity factor is something that this Jets team has not really done well in terms of having the same guys around you and developing not only the players, but a system. And I feel like Mike LaFleur, he is coming off his rookie season as an offensive play caller, so he's going to develop over the course of this offseason going into year number 2. And I think a lot of Jets fans are excited about the future of Mike LaFleur because at the end, ever since he went into the booth, he just became so creative with all these trick plays, with all these beautiful bootlegs, and it just opened up this playbook to the point where you're like, wow, if Zach Wilson can click on all cylinders, he could be special. And the cool thing about Zach Wilson as well is if you look back at his BYU trajectory, he didn't start off all great at BYU. He kind of struggled. The program was struggling around him. And then all of a sudden, he just changed that outcome, and he just absolutely took that next step. So hopefully he has that same exact thing with the New York Jets, where in year number 1, it was a rebuild period. Year number 2, it's kind of trending in the right direction. And I think year number 3 is where Zach Wilson is going to take flight and prove to be the guy or not. And I feel like that's what Jets fans need to realize. I'm not saying he's not going to do well in year number 2. He should improve in every single statistical category in year number 2. But I definitely feel like he has the tools in order to be a franchise quarterback, especially with what we saw at the end of the last year, protecting the football, the arm talent's raw, the athleticism, making people miss in the open field, using his legs. He has all the tools that you want. I think it's all about surrounding him now and making sure that he attacks this offseason at full gas.
Green Bean, what about you? How are you feeling about Zach?
Yeah, I like him, man. I think anybody calling him a bust, not that that's what Disregard Pop is doing, but anybody calling him a bust is they either didn't like him in the first place or they're looking for argument and stuff like that. I mean, the guy showed clear progress, undeniable. If you're denying it, you're simply not watching. To go from 11 picks in the first 5 games to none over the past 5 games and 2 in the last 6 or 7 or whatever it was, that's clear progress. And I think, again, I'll remind everybody, I wasn't necessarily the biggest cheerleader for Zach before the draft and everything. But I watched him all year, just like you guys did. And I think he's good, man. I think he's fine. He's got the arm strength. He's got the mobility. He has elite escapability. We say that all the time. It's true. And like Saleh said in that press conference postseason, he said, look, what we learned about Zach is that his that all that escaping stuff isn't fluky. It's not him lucking out. That's part of his skill set. So him getting more comfortable, and like Richie said, it's so important, man. We change our team every single year, at most every 2 years. It's a completely different cast of characters. Keeping guys around that are young, that are growing together, that they can play together for more than 15 minutes is going to have an incredible impact on the team. And I think Zach is going to be the beneficiary of that, man. And I think, again, he doesn't have to learn the system this year. He just has to get better within the system that he took all year to learn and everything. And I think we got a good quarterback. His numbers were actually better for the most part than everybody's darling today's Josh Allen. Rightfully so. He looks great. But, when you look at their rookie numbers, they're very, very similar. And Zach edges them out in quite a few characteristics and or categories was what I was looking for. And nobody in Buffalo was calling Josh Allen a bust in his first year. They were just saying he's a rookie, and that's what we should be doing.
Adam S. drops in the super chat, says, any Tyreek Hill type prospects in the mid rounds? Adam S., if there was a Tyreek Hill type prospect, they'd be going in the first round. I can tell you that right now. But I don't know. Is there anyone that we know of that should be running like close to a 4.2 40 in this draft? I haven't really heard anything receiver wise. I guess like speed wise, is it Garrett Wilson might be the fastest now that Jameson Williams probably isn't testing? I would think.
That'd be my best educated.
Man, I'm so upset about Jameson Williams.
Dude, I wanted him at 10 so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Let's do this. Is there any way you would draft Jameson Williams in the first 2 rounds at all? Is there any sort of situation where you could see yourself doing it?
In the second round? I don't know. We're looking for the future. I don't know.
Corey Davis only has one. You could get out of Corey Davis's contract after next year.
I mean, he's going to be out all his rookie season, correct?
He'll be out until probably October.
Yeah.
Realistic.
And then there's that whole, he's just getting back to speed, and then there's the pitch count, and then there's the whole thing. Exactly. But look, when we talk about trading for a wide receiver, what assets are we giving up? Like, let's say you trade for a wide receiver, so then the need isn't so much.
Holy cannoli, motherfucker.
Yeah. You call that
wow. Sorry, Green Bean, interrupt you. Big dick donation by KF.
Whoa, hype in the chat.
Wow, holy smokes.
Is that what color $100 donations are?
I guess so. Holy cannoli. KF101 says we need a defensive captain, Hamilton or Karlaftis at 4 and 10. We could take O-line or trade back if there's any takers, and then tight end at 35, linebacker 38. The wide receivers this year would be second rounders last year, with something not take a wide receiver in the first round. Thoughts? You guys are fire. KF101,
You are fire.
you got a massive dong, my friend. Thank you. Okay, so let's break this down little by little. Defensive captain, I do think is important. 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐫𝐲 Dean is very high on my list. I think his player accountability on the field is like second to none. I've really enjoyed that through the different video clips that I've seen. You mentioned Karlaftis and Hamilton specifically. Hamilton, there would have to be very specific things for me to pull the trigger on Hamilton. I think like some things would have to go wrong, I think, for me to want to make that move at 4. As far as Karlaftis, I was higher on him to start. That could definitely change as we get closer to the combine. But I'm starting to see him start falling a little bit in mock drafts. I've seen him somewhere around the 10 to 15 range. And that gives me a little bit of the not so great feeling. But I would say that offensive line, big takers, tight end. Let's see. If I had to think how I would go about this, my top 4 picks, not accounting for free agency, it would be interesting to go like Thibodeaux or Karlaftis, and then God, Becton has really thrown a wrench in this whole fucking thing. If you think Becton is the truth,
There we go, Green.
then I would go Karlaftis or Hamilton at 4. I would go receiver, or no, I would go 𝐒𝐶𝐞𝐫𝐞𝐚 Dean or Devin Lloyd at 10. I would go Trey McBride at 35, and I would go John Doxson out of Penn State at 38, the receiver. He's really, really good. I think he might sneak into the first round, so he may not make it there. But again, I still want to trade for a receiver, but I like what you're saying here. I mean, we need some defensive captains. I mean, you think CJ Mosley is like the only defensive captain really right now? I mean, would you put Quinnen or John Franklin Myers in that role? They might.
Foley was the captain. He's a free agent.
Yeah, and he's probably not coming back. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Well, when they sign Marcus Williams, he could be captain.
I had someone reach out to me today in a DM. I guess he was talking to like a Saints fan, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, the plan is to franchise Marcus Williams." I was like, "They got like $60 million over the cap. How the hell are they going to franchise tag this guy?"
Hey, they did it a couple years ago. They were $108 million over the cap. They cut no one.
How's that possible? I thought it's like you're not allowed. That's just, I don't understand.
They reworked it.
Yeah, they pushed all the money back later. So like Breeze, they're probably paying Breeze's dead cap hit for like another 5 years. Like that's why Peyton stepped away today. Peyton winds up stepping away from the game because he knows it's going to be a rebuilding season. He's going to go to Dallas next year, or like, I don't know, somewhere else. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, something like that.
Matt, what do you think about the defensive captains, offensive line, the tight ends, the wide receivers? How would you kind of
Matt wants Hamilton at 4 for the captain.
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be the move, and then I just can't wait for the 7 and 10s for the rest of my life. Sorry, I can't do this for 6 months. Okay, what's the question? O-line. I think that the misconception with Evan Neal is that while yes, he is a tackle at Alabama and played both left and right tackle, I think I'm drafting him to play right guard for this year. Mm-hmm. And then because that gives you the insurance with Mekhi Becton. I still believe in him. I think he is fine, but let's play the game that he's not. Then you could re-sign George Fant, do whatever you got to do with Becton, and now you have Neal and Fant as your tackles. But if Mekhi is fine, which I think he is, and he's playing at a Pro Bowl level like we saw as a rookie, then after 2022, when George Fant leaves in free agency, then you move Neal back outside. So I don't really look at that as like drafting Mekhi's replacement necessarily. I look at that as more so just trying to help your overall offense out. And then at 10, so is he saying to trade for a wide receiver or take the wide receiver here? Or no, wait.
It sounds like he's taking defense with 4 and 10 with Hamilton and Karlaftis.
Well, if Karlaftis is dropping and you can get him at 10, then I would be happy with that because I'm still comfortable taking him at 4. I know that's a hot take for some, but I really like his skill set. I think he's just a powerful guy and would complement Carl Lawson well. But if you could tell me, I don't know, Neal and Karlaftis, and then you get a wide receiver elsewhere, okay, you can maybe sell me on that.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point about the whole Neal conversation, because I do think that that needs to be at the forefront of the conversation. And that's why I've leaned Ekwonu or Neal recently. The worst case scenario for Mekhi Becton, that's what you have to think. Best case scenario, he's our left tackle for 10 years. Worst case scenario, if he's not the guy, if he winds up having a season somewhere between this year and last year, now you're talking, okay, Fant is at the end of his contract. McGovern's at the end of his contract. You did not draft his replacement or like insurance at number 4. Like, what are you going to do? Like, that to me is sacrilegious, especially when you have Zach Wilson going into his 3rd year, when you're expecting this to be the playoff push in 2023. So like, above all else, like I said it in my most recent video, even with Thibodeaux on the board, I think you do have to think at least a little bit about taking Ekwonu or Neal if they're there. I mean, it's not as cut and dry as I think it would have been maybe 4 months ago when you thought Becton was coming back and you had your left tackle. Richie, talk to me. What do you think about the defensive captains and how would you handle the first 4 picks of our draft?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt this defense lacks, captains all across the board. I mean, we're the worst defense in the NFL last year. But at the same time, I think we can get our captain through free agency. Marcus Williams, for example, like Matt said. I'm all in on the offense when it comes to the draft and establishing a culture and a foundation through there. But at the end of the day, like I said, I would love Thibodeaux if he falls to 4. But like you said, Ryan, I am all on board with the offensive lineman. It's going to be a really interesting decision for Joe Douglas on who's available, because this whole offensive line is not only about next year, but like you said, it's for the years to come. Zach Wilson's future offensive line that's supposed to be here forever. And I always said when Joe Douglas became the GM, I always thought especially after he kept talking about building the offensive line, he kept bringing that up. And there goes my camera.
I can hear you.
I can still talk. Are we changing it as we
got
speak?
you.
But
good.
Long story short, I always thought that Joe Douglas was going to take the Dallas Cowboys blueprint of how to build this offensive line, and that's draft an offensive lineman in the first round until it's fixed. And I generally always thought that's exactly what he's going to do. And he's done that in his first 2 drafts. So I feel like he's going to draft another offensive lineman in the first round this year, whether that's at 4 or 10. And when it comes to the defensive captains, we do lack that leadership guy. I do love CJ Mosley. You got to give him the credit. I mean, this man had the second most tackles in Jets history. I mean, I feel like people forget that because he was on a terrible defense statistically as a team. But, there's a lot of different ways they can do it. 4 picks in the top 38 is really tremendous. You can get a linebacker in the 2nd round that can be the captain for the future. But I really feel like the offense is going to be more for the draft in the top end, in my opinion, and then supplement the defense through free agency. But it's tough, man. It's really tough to see, especially without free agency. It's really tough to really predict what's going to happen in the draft.
Greenby, what about you? How you feeling about the top part of this draft? It seems like you're liking it a little bit more than maybe Richie, Matt, and I are.
Yeah, well, look, I pay attention to things that I don't think you guys are paying attention to all of a sudden. I don't know what happened. When you look at everybody's big boards, when you look at Draft Tech, the Draft Network, all these big boards, 8 of the top 10 players are defense. 16 of the top 20 players are defense. So when you talk about picking at pick 4 and pick 10, and you're grabbing a guy who's rated 25 because he's the best at that position in the draft, that's what we call a reach. That's called reaching for need, and it's very, very dangerous. In my opinion, you accept what the draft is giving you. So, for example, this is a very strong safety and interior offensive line and tight end class. So you make sure that you get those guys early as you can in the class because it's stronger up top than it is at the bottom. There are good wide receivers in the draft, and I'm not saying that. But the best wide receiver in this draft, in last year's draft, would probably be the 5th or so wide receiver taken. So when you're trying to squeeze square pegs into round holes, Karlaftis and or Hamilton up top makes a ton of sense. 𝐒𝐿 up top at number 4 makes almost 0 sense. It's trying to to make him a top 4 pick. You can get a very similar player to Icky in the second round, even the third round. Darian Kennard, all those guys. The great thing about Neal is that he's 360 pounds. So outside of like Falele, he's like the best of the top, the biggest guy. Like if you like your big, beefy guys, then Neal's going to be hard to replicate. But the truth is, man, is that this defense is significant. This draft is significantly stronger with defense up top. Going offense at 4, while I understand that I'm all about protecting Zach, I'm all about giving him weapons, 100%. But you can wait till the second and get top guys, where the guys that are there in the second for the defensive holes that we have are going to be significantly weaker than the guys that we can get up top. At pick 4, if Thibodeaux and Hutchinson are gone, you take either Karlaftis or Hamilton. It's that simple. If dude, all the mocks I've been doing had him go Hutchinson, Thibodeaux, Karlaftis. If that's the way it falls, you grab Kyle Hamilton and you call that shit a day. And you see the way the rest of the draft falls. If they take the 2 linebackers and they're gone or something, you want to go Traylon Burks, fine. You want to go Tyler Linderbaum, fine. 10, it makes a little bit more sense than doing it up at 4. Top 5 picks are rare, dude. Only 5 teams get them in the whole league. Fucking 4 teams get top 4 picks this year. You take a top 4 player. You don't take a top 20 player at pick 4 because you're in the mood for offense. And that's the way that I see it, man. I think it's a mistake.
See, I'm on a different sort of side of things. Like for me, 𝐒𝐿 and Neal, the value is the insurance policy on Becton. If Becton had done what he was supposed to do, or I shouldn't even say what he's supposed to do, but if he was supposed to have that, 6-week injury and we could have seen the rest of him, I would have if you had told me in August that we'd be looking at wide receiver and offensive line, or at least wide receiver and tackle, I'd be like, go kick rocks. There's no way we're thinking that. We took first, second round last year. There's no way that's going to happen. Like I am beyond frustrated with how this is like shaking out. And I don't think you can look, there's guards. If you believe in Becton, don't take Neal or 𝐒𝐿, 100%. If you believe in Becton, then you can take Zion Johnson in the second round or the third round or whatever you want to do. The Jets are going to be able to coach him at the Senior Bowl. You can get a good look at him. You don't have to take a guard in the top 5. Like the only reason I'm saying guard in the top 5 is because that guard can also play left tackle, which is a valuable position for our young quarterback.
And that's a benefit. Versatility is cool. But again, like going from Evan Neal and 𝐒𝐿 to Charles Cross and Petit Frere and Kirkland is not that huge of a drop off. You can make the argument that Neal is head and shoulders above the rest, I think. But when you're talking about the drop off from the guys that we're talking about at 4 to the guys that we're talking about in the second round, the drop off is not as significant from the edge rushers, the safeties, and the linebackers to the next batch. That's all I'm saying. You can wait till the second and grab your tackle and then get a top 4 player at 4.
I see what you're saying. All right. Wild Billy Boy, thank you for the super chat. He says Michael Thomas, wide receiver at 18, because Matt is afraid of Michael Thomas. Sure. Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios as wide receiver 5. James Cameron could make a documentary with that depth. I am not trading for Michael Thomas and drafting a receiver at number 18. Not happening. Will not happen. If you want to take Michael Thomas, no problem whatsoever. I'm okay with taking Michael Thomas. I'm okay with Calvin Ridley. I'm okay with Amari Cooper. If you want to go crazy and go after DK, I don't think it's going to happen, but more power to you. I'm all about it. But if we had a trade down and you got Michael Thomas in the trade down with the Saints where you're falling back, I don't know how you can't go with a linebacker or a cornerback or something along those lines. I think it's a bad use of resources if you go with a receiver at 18 as well. Matt, your thoughts on Michael Thomas plus a receiver at 18 if we trade down?
That's bananas. Well, I see
get the banana emojis going.
Yeah, get them going.
See, I don't know. I think I turned off the emoji blocker on the bot too, so I think it will allow the bananas. I got to get the Banana Land fucking graphic working. I haven't done that.
We need it. See, like I hate myself for my take on Michael Thomas because like 3 years ago, he was my favorite receiver in the NFL. I loved Michael Thomas. But he scares me because he was only played 7 games in 2 years. He's approaching 30. Like that's a really big risk to take that on. And again, if we could if there's some guarantee where we can say, yes, he's for sure going to go back to the player he was before the injuries, then okay, this is a no-brainer, but I am not willing to risk that. But if you just want to go with, the wide receiver at wherever in the first round, Elijah, Davis, Berrios, and then I don't know, pick somebody else to be your wide receiver 5, then I'm honestly good with that. Michael Thomas just scares me. That's all.
What about you, Richie? How you feel about trading for Michael Thomas, and how would you feel about taking a receiver at 18?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the hypothetical scenario of trading for Michael Thomas, but you're using the pick that you got for Michael Thomas on a receiver. So that just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like you're making a good trade. Say hypothetically, Michael Thomas is healthy and all that. I think you should use that draft pick on another position because that's what you traded back for. You got your receiver. That's supposed to be the number one guy. That's proved to be a top receiver in the league when he is healthy. Slant boy, whatever you want to call that man. But I don't know. I feel like a trade back at 10 is very likely. I think a lot of people need to realize that Joe Douglas is going to be answering phone calls. And I feel like he kind of wants to get that some of that draft capital back for what he traded up to get AVT. Not saying it's guaranteed going to happen, but I can definitely see a trade back from number 10, especially if the Jets get who they want at number 4. And I also think there's an opportunity for the Jets to trade up in the draft back into the first round if someone slides. Joe Douglas needs to be aggressive, and he's got the ammunition to do so. But this hypothetical just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, you brought up a nice point. The whole trading back into the first is something I really want to consider. There's a ton of mock drafts right now where Linderbaum's falling or
if he
falling.
falls,
One of the receivers. So, chat, just so you guys know, we have 2 second-round picks and a third-round pick. If you were to package both second-round picks, you'd get up to about pick 16 according to the value chart. If you did pick 35 and the third, you'd get up to pick like 21. If you did 38 plus pick 69, you'd get up to about pick 24 or so. So that's about roughly where you could kind of think the Jets may be kind of looking to go up. I'd be looking like mid-20s.
Yeah, if the Jets pick their guys at 4 and 10, and Linderbaum is sliding, and he's sliding, we're going to see the Jets trade up for him. Guarantee it. Like, there's no way Joe Douglas is going to let that man slide past him. I don't know. I just feel like he's going to fall in love from the draft process, and it's going to be hard for Douglas not to take him. I just have a feeling.
It would be so nice. Everyone wanted Linderbaum before the season. Now we're seeing I see some mock drafts where he's going like 15 to like 25, and then I see others where he's like top 7, and I'm like,
yeah, because it's the whole debate about the center position of the value of that. You can't take a center that early. You know what I mean? Even though he's the best, interior offensive lineman in the draft, and he's some people are saying that he's the best center to come out in years. People get afraid about the whole value of the center. So I think that's the reason why.
100%. Green Bean, what about you? How are you feeling about Michael Thomas and possibly trading down from 10 to 18 and either taking a receiver or making another pick?
Yeah, well, I think Matt said it best. It's like it feels almost it feels wrong to talk about Michael Thomas like I don't want him, but I don't. You know what I mean? It's like, the NFL is a what have you done for me lately kind of league, sad to say. I hate that it's like that. I'm a guy who believes in kind of redeemable qualities, and that's like how I live my life. But it's like, dude, the guy has played a handful of games in 2 years, and he's incredibly expensive. Whatever pick we're going to trade for him, we might just get more output from the pick, in the draft. And I think it's too dangerous, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense for this young team. And it sucks because 2 years ago, like Matt said, I mean, Michael Thomas and D-Hop were back and forth in my opinion, the 2 best wide receivers in the NFL. They were almost unstoppable. And I hate talking about them like this, but I, honest to God, don't want them. And unless it's like a conditional something. And then you're like, okay, you're taking on the contract for a conditional 6th, something ridiculous like that. And then it's like, okay, well, hey, it's worth it. And we have the money, et cetera, et cetera. So, but overall, I don't like the idea of bringing in aging veterans unless it's very, very particular, very specific. And Michael Thomas doesn't seem to be that for me, sadly.
So Kevin and Edward, I'm going to get to your super chats in just a second. I want to kind of stay on this topic and kind of talk about the trading of a receiver for just a second. So Michael Thomas missed the entirety of this season, and he missed all of I think he played 5 or 6 games 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The reason for that is he was told he would need to get surgery, would have to sit out the rest of the Drew Brees' final season, and he wanted to try and win it with Brees. From my understanding, that's what I'm kind of getting at. And he opted not to get the surgery until June. So the team was pissed off at him because he should have had it at the beginning of the offseason so he would be ready for the beginning of this year. And he didn't do it till June, so he wasn't ready by the time the cutoff date was to get guys back in on your roster off the IR. So I think it's a little weird because he's only missed 1 game prior to that stretch of games over the course of the last year and a half. And his contract isn't that bad. His contract's, I think it's 15.5, 15.7, and maybe 18 the third year, and no guaranteed money left. So you could cut him at any point if you were to trade him. So it's actually one of the better contracts if you think he's going to be 75% of what he once was. Now, that being said, I want to talk about the trading of receivers and where you guys would rank certain receivers. And it's going to change based on value because Calvin Ridley, I think for the most part is probably who a lot of us would want skill-wise. It's just a matter of the mental health concerns and things of that nature. And is he ready to play football? Amari Cooper, the contract's really bad, but the trade price is probably going to be really reasonable. Then there's DK Metcalf, who's incredible, but it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. And if you think Seattle's going to let DK Metcalf go for less than 2 seconds, a third, and a starting safety, like they had to give up for Jamal, you're out of your damn mind. And there's no way they're trading him to us. Zero shot. So, Matt, I want to hear from you. If you had to rank maybe your top 3 or 4 trade target wide receivers, how would you rank them? And I guess what would the stipulations maybe be as you kind of, go through the thought process?
Okay. Love it. And unfortunately, it's going to have to be my last one because I have to write the post game. So I would probably say, I'm going to say Ridley 1. And the reason behind it, I know there's risk with all of them. So I feel like it's all based on personal preference. But I think from a cost perspective, he might not cost you as much to acquire. And he probably has the highest upside. I mean, the last time we saw him, he was a 1,300-yard receiver. So I'd probably put him 1. 2, I don't know. Do I put DK on the list? Because that's so unrealistic. I just don't see him.
Let's say no DK, because I'd be thoroughly perplexed. If the Seahawks wind up trading us DK Metcalf, if we could give up 10 and give it, hey, we got number 10, we got, we got AVT, we got DK Metcalf for Jamal Adams. That would be fantastic. Never going to happen.
Yeah, sick.
So then I guess I'd go Amari 2. Because I just think this was a down year. He's a steady 1,000 guy besides this. And CeeDee Lamb's targets started to go way up. So I'd say Amari probably 2. And then 3, we go outside the box and go like DJ Moore.
Oh, that's a good one. I like it.
I think
maybe there's a little shift. Hey, we'll send you Denzel Mims and something, and you give us DJ Moore. All about it, Matt Rule. Come on, make it happen.
Yeah.
Give you your second back, and you could take Mims, and we'll take DJ Moore. How about that?
That's not too bad. Matt, do you want to hang around for this discussion, or you need to dip out now?
I probably got to dip out and start getting this thing going because the third period's about to start, and we got to make sure it's ready to go by the time the game ends. Otherwise, it's SOL.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Any last words for our panel?
So I mean, Richie's on, but spoiler alert, Richie's going to be featured on my channel tomorrow. So look out for that video. We're going to talk about the Jets youth. So love you guys. I will talk to you all next week.
Later, Matt.
Take it out, Matt. Go Islanders.
Yeah. All right. So Richie, I want to get your thoughts on the whole trade target wide receiver conversation.
Sure,
how would you rank them if you had to give your top 3 or top 4 trade targets?
Yeah. So I think the rank is Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, and all those guys. Go all up, all for the top tier guys. Devontae Adams. In all seriousness, wouldn't that be great? I love Calvin Ridley. I really, really am in love with Calvin Ridley. And obviously we talked about the issue that needs to be, focused on first and foremost before you give up any type of capital for him. Number 1, how is his mental How is he feeling off the field? Does he still have a passion for the game? We still don't know why he was not in the field last year. That's definitely could be a concern. That's something that could come back down the line. It's something you don't really want to commit a lot of capital to, number one. And number two, you probably have to pay him. Because if you trade for a guy, Calvin Ridley, this is his contract year. So hypothetically speaking, you'd want to give him the bag, and you want him to be the long-term answer at the wide receiver spot. So Calvin Ridley, number one for me, saying that basically he is, A-OK off the field. And, DK Metcalf definitely, it's not happening. I made a video on this. I made a video talking about DK. I made a video talking about Ridley and Amari Cooper. It's just a pipe dream at this point. I'd trade the 10th overall pick for DK in a heartbeat. I think that would just be amazing. And Amari Cooper, I feel like Amari Cooper is a perfect option in my opinion because he's an established veteran that's been on 2 teams, that's been productive everywhere he's been. And he's still at this part of the point of his career where he's still playing good football. He might not be in his prime, but he'd come here and be a guy that can create separation with ease, a guy that will catch everything thrown to him in his radius, and he could be a leader on this offense. I feel like Amari Cooper's great, and his cost will not be that high because of the contract that we'll be paying him. It's around $20 million, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, 3 years, 20 a year.
Yeah, so I feel like when it comes to those 3, I really want the Jets to be aggressive. We need to get another big-time receiver this offseason, whether it's trading, whether it's free agency, whether it's a draft. I don't care how we do it, but there has to be a big-time weapon added to this receiver room along with Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and hopefully a re-signed Braxton Berrios.
Greeny, what about you? How would you rank the trade targets that the Jets could target for wide receiver?
Yeah, I got to be real honest. I'm not the biggest fan of trading for a wide receiver. There's going to be a few in free agency. I'd rather, honest to God, you know what I'd rather do? I'd rather retain Berrios and Crowder, draft a guy in the second round, and just run it back, man. Like that's what I'd like to do. Like let's let these guys kind of keep influxing with youth, keep guys together. Let them become a unit and see what's going on here. Trading which asset? Like if you're going to get anybody that's worth their salt, like worth bringing in, it's more than likely going to be one of your firsts or a 7. Like when we talk about like Amari Cooper, I love Amari Cooper. I loved him as a draft pick. I loved him on the Raiders. I thought they were dumb to get rid of him. Like, so I really like Amari Cooper, but he cost $20 million and you're going to give up a first for him. So that to me, that seems like a lot.
No way you're giving up a first. They're going to have to either restructure him or cut him. They got $2 million in salary cap. No way.
Yeah, you watch what they get. Dude, it doesn't matter if a player.
You're not going to trade him. What's going to wind up happening is he's going to restructure because Michael Gallup got hurt, and he's going to stay in Dallas for $12 million a year or whatever.
That's fine.
That's what's going to happen.
The point is, if they traded him to us, what do you think you're getting Amari Cooper for? You think you're going to throw him a 4th and they're going to be like, yeah, great, take this contract off our hands? I doubt it. He's worth too much. There's just no way.
If Amari Cooper says, I'm not renegotiating my deal, a 5th round pick is the best I'm offering for him. And I don't think they'll get it from anyone else. I don't think
they're not going to take that either. Jerry Jones will let him sit. Just like he did with Ezekiel.
Then everyone gets a shot at him.
How do you guys feel about taking a flyer on Allen Robinson in free agency, like a 1-year deal?
I love Allen Robinson. I think he's great. He had a down year, 37 catches, right?
Screwed me in fantasy.
Yeah, I know, right, dude? I can imagine. But what? He had the injury. He had a whole bunch of different quarterbacks. He had the young Justin Fields. You had the turmoil with Nagy trying to do whatever the hell he was doing this year. Some weird offensive designs for games. Remember what was that one? He threw the ball like 4 times or whatever the hell it was. So a whole bunch of weird stuff, and he has a down year. If you can get Allen Robinson, on a down year a little bit cheaper than normal, and then maybe give him some incentive-laden benefits and things like that. Yeah, I'd love Allen Robinson. I think he's the perfect guy to bring here. He's a little bit older, of course, but he's not so old that you're concerned. He's not like when we got Art Monk or anything like that in his 15th year. I think Allen Robinson would be great, but just the point for me is like I would rather sign one in free agency and draft one rather than trade assets for somebody. I'm a big youth guy. I don't know. That's the way I'd rather go.
Richie, I love Allen Robinson. I really it's not the first route I'd go. Like for me, trading for Ridley or Thomas or Cooper would be preferable over maybe Allen Robinson, and I would say even drafting a guy like Drake London or Treylon Burks would be preferable over it. But I can see a situation, and a very realistic situation, where the Jets go after Allen Robinson because of his connection with Robert Saleh. And, the cost factor for Douglas, I think, is right there. Like Green Bean was saying, I think you're going to get him at a discount. You get him at $13 million a year or something like that, coming off a down year, a little bit older. I think I could definitely see that. And then if that's the case, you don't go receiver in the first round. You probably go receiver in the second round, and you're looking at someone like a John Doxson from Penn State. And I have no problem going that route either, but I wouldn't want Allen Robinson to be the only wide receiver that we bring in. I just wouldn't devote a first-round pick in addition to Allen Robinson. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think like you guys said, I feel like if the price is right, we can get him for around $13 million for a 1-year deal, or hey, maybe even a 2-year deal. You got to bring in a veteran. You got to bring in someone that's been here, because I understand, Ryan, I see that you really want to trade for a receiver. And the reason why I do is because I just see.
I know you're about to say, you're going to say, because I don't want rookie growing pains. It took Elijah Moore 8 weeks to get into it. Like, trust
me, I'm all about draft picks. I'm like the biggest guy when it comes to youth, but it gets to a point where I want to make sure we have established people around this quarterback that he can develop with the long term. And if Allen Robinson's that guy, so be it. Like, if Allen Robinson was under contract, say going into the season, and he wasn't a free agent and he was going to be available in the trade market, I look into that. But now that he might be an open guy, and hey, I don't really want to trade a lot of people. If we had to trade for a receiver and it's going to cost too much, I'm not all for it. I feel like Joe Douglas understands the value, and we also have a luxury of having so much capital in order to be aggressive when it comes to becoming a trade target. But when it comes to Allen Robinson, if we can get her to a 1-year deal on a $13 million contract, or hey, 2 years, you got to be able to do it. I really think it's smart. And then you don't have to worry about the wide receiver early in the draft. You can draft the receiver in the second or third round. You can use number 4 on edge or defensive player. And at 10, another offensive lineman is built through the draft. And you got to get another receiver in the draft, though, because Allen Robinson, we're missing that prototypical guy that can be alongside, that's a veteran. And that's why I want to trade for receiver so much. So if they're not going to go the route of trading receiver, you hold on to your draft picks. You hold on to it. You don't want to trade all your babies that Joe Douglas loves, his draft picks, which I really respect. Then you go out there and get a guy on Allen Robinson. But they really have to make sure that they're aggressive no matter how they bring in a receiver this offseason, whether that's the draft, whether that's free agency or the trade market. You have to draft one or sign one early, because it's a big time need.
Let me say this, Ryan. The thing with the growing pains that you're talking about is last year was very, very particular. We had an offensive line that never played together before. We had first-time coaches, first-time offensive coordinator. We had a rookie quarterback, rookie running back, rookie left guard, rookie wide receiver. When you bring in one rookie wide receiver to that mix, it's not the same. It's not the same situation. Then you can have a Jamar Chase kind of impact. You can have a Justin Jefferson kind of an impact, because he was the only. Justin Jefferson was the rookie. Jamar Chase was the rookie, as opposed to what we did last year. It's not going to look the same. I totally get it, man. That was, as much as I supported it, it was fucking, dude, how aggravating was that to watch last year? That was, trying to stay positive during that 17-game horse fest. Gosh. It was like, that was as hard as any season I've ever watched. But at the same time, like, now we have, they're not going to be like, what we would call vets yet, but they're not rookies. And there's a huge difference between second-year players and first-year players. So bringing in a rookie wide receiver to that mix with the rest of the guys who are now the Jets offense, I think would be a little bit less dramatic of a learning curve than we've seen last year.
So I would think that, the receivers that were here last year would play better because they've been in the system a year. But I still think a rookie is going to go through the same growing pains with the speed of the game and everything like that. Now there's going to be a certain deviation. Like, you're going to get guys like Jamar Chase that just go off and don't need to worry about the speed of the game after taking an entire year off. I don't know. I think a vet is solid for that room, because I think Berrios is young. I think Moore is young.
I hope Corey Davis is
back. 27, 28, probably somewhere in that ballpark. So I guess he's the vet in the room right now. I don't know. It's interesting. Kevin Delaney drops in with a super chat, says Sky Moore runs a 4.24, but at 5'10", wide receiver. So going back to the Tyreek Hill question, is there a Tyreek Hill type receiver in the draft? Maybe this person speed. I have no idea. I've never watched this person before, so got nothing going.
Me either.
All right, let's see. Edward Ziff dropped in with a super chat. He says 𝐻𝐿𝐶 out of NC State is a beast from what I've seen of him. Yeah, this guy is violent. Like, if you want someone that matches AVT's like aggressiveness and like just road graderness, it's 𝐻𝐿𝐶. It's so much fun. Like, seriously, go watch this guy's highlight tape, and he's planting people fucking 6 feet deep, like just finishing blocks. And I just love it because it's one of those things that, like, I remember talking about Blewett, and Blewett will be on the Monday show next week, but he was going on about how Becton needs to finish certain blocks, and 𝐻𝐿𝐶, that doesn't happen. This guy's burying people. Greenbean, you got any thoughts on 𝐻𝐿𝐶?
Yeah, but I also want to let our friend know that if you're looking for Tyreek Hill types of guys, look at Wandel Robinson. He's 5'10", 185. He's an exciting little fella. Let me tell you, I was just watching him from Kentucky recently, and I was like, ooh, okay. Now, I don't know how many of those guys, maybe we go from Joe Douglas drafting everybody over 6'2" to everybody under 5'11". Okay, you want to do something like that? Just have a bunch of speedy little demons running around the field? We can try that maybe. I don't know, but he's exciting, that guy, if you're looking for that sort of thing. Yeah, I love 𝐻𝐿𝐶. I think he's awesome, but I also love some of the other tackles in this draft as well. And yeah, I mean, I love offensive linemen, period. I tend to focus on them every draft period. I tend to spend more time on the offensive line than I do anywhere else. And then obviously I spend some warm nights with my tight ends, of course. But me and my wife nuzzle up with some tight end reading. But yeah, so
talk about your wife and tight ends and everything like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Teeing it up.
Yeah, I am. I'm sort of soft serve. Yeah, but I really do like him, and I think, look, I want to make it really clear. Like, if Joe Douglas decided, like, we're still going offense and we draft 𝐻𝐿𝐶 and Burks in the first, I'm not going to be bent out of shape. This is us talking before the draft and kind of processing our own thoughts and our own feelings and everything like that. And what would we do? But the truth is that I like a lot of players in this draft. I tend to lean defense because it's stronger, right? But if that's what we did, if we got Evan Neal or 𝐒𝐿𝐶 or Charles Cross, that was the guy that we liked the best, and then we grab Treylon Burks or Linderbaum. Imagine going Neal and Linderbaum. It's like, well, hello, hell yeah, okay, let's lump them up. You know what I mean? I'd be happy about that. So there's a lot of players I like, and 𝐒𝐿𝐶's one of them.
Richie, how you feeling about 𝐻𝐿𝐶?
Yeah, I'm glad Green brought it up because there's this hypothetical that would drive some Jets fans insane. But can you imagine if Douglas goes out there and gets 𝐻𝐿𝐶 or Neal, and then at 10 we go Linderbaum? He's like, you know what? We are rebuilding this offensive line. I don't care about any position until this offensive line is literally the top 5 unit in the NFL. This is the only way we're going to do it. I'm going to take my favorite tackle at 4, and I'm going to take the best interior offensive lineman in the draft, just like I did last year with Elijah Vera Tucker. And I'm going to be running I'm just going to run the ball down people's throats with Michael Carter all game long. I'm going to give Zach Wilson 7 seconds to throw, and we're just going to be grounding and pounding and punching you in the face in the trenches forever. And then hopefully the defensive line can somehow get there without drafting top guys in the draft. But hey, no, all jokes aside, I love 𝐻𝐿𝐶. I love his ability to be – I feel like he has a lot of physicality to his game. He's an elite finisher. He's also versatile. He's someone that can line up all over the offensive line. That's something that a lot of, things that are really good. But at the same time, it all comes down to who's available and who the Jets fall in love with. I think they're going to do a lot of homework on all these offensive tackles, and they have to realize and have to be prepared at number 4. If Thibodeaux's available, is he the pick? Because what if they're so set on 𝐻𝐿𝐶? Or what if they're so set on Neal and Thibodeaux falls to them, but they just need to go this route, offensive line? But I really want to make sure that they go best player available instead of best need. Because if Thibodeaux falls to 4, I feel like that's a no-brainer for me personally. But when it comes to 𝐻𝐿𝐶, I would not be shocked if he's the pick at number 4. And number 10, it could be defense, or they can double down in offense once again. But there's just so many hypotheticals. And when you guys were talking, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I just want to know who this entire draft class is already. I'm so ready for it.
know.
And we got to wait so long. And we're going to be talking about this for months, which is awesome. I'm not complaining about it. But it's just like all the hypotheticals leading up to all this, like, it's crazy. And like, ask me this question a week from now, and I'm going to be like, no, this guy stinks. This guy's the best.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep doing homework and just changing my opinions all over the place.
Yeah,
That's
it's like every week or every day. Like, I release my mock off season. I'm like, no, I want to go a completely different route, and it's tomorrow. I'm like, literally every single day, I got a new plan in mind, and everything's like whirling around. I don't have one set thing, and I'm sure the Jets are probably feeling somewhat similar. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on from the whole, like, Senior Bowl side of things, the combine, free agency. There's so many variables between now and the draft that it's going to change a zillion times over. And we're here for the ride, people. All you nearly 550 people in the chat, make sure you hit that like button. For every 25 likes we get, we're going to pick a qualifier for our t-shirt giveaway at the end of this stream. If you're watching this after the fact, make sure you leave a comment on this video, and we will pick a qualifier from last week's video. So you get entered into next week's t-shirt giveaway if you comment on this video. Right now, our qualifiers are Brian Leon, Lucas Sauerland, Liberal Irishman, Red Dog, Gohan Angered, Fat Gandalf, and Jets Gang. Whew. Sorry. Trying to talk and drink beer at the same time is not easy. Garcus Bloodlust, thank you for the super chat, says, the latest Pro Football Focus mock made a lot of sense considering the entire Joe Douglas regime is tied to the success of Zach Wilson. Doesn't it make sense to go all in on him?
What was the mock? I didn't see it.
So the mock draft had it going Neal, Hutchinson, Hamilton, 𝐒𝐿, and then Giants take Kayvon Thibodeaux. Then I think it was Cross to the Panthers at 6. It was Linderbaum 7.
Damn.
Treylon Burks to the Falcons at 8.
Damn.
9 was Kenny Pickett, and then the Jets took Drake London at 10. I would not be upset with it. That's what's so great about this particular offseason is there's so many different routes that the Jets could, in theory, go. And I'm going to be pretty okay with like a lot of them. There's very few that I think I would be upset with. For me, going into the draft, I think you have to plug holes in free agency, and then you draft the best player available in the draft. That's ideally what you want to have done. Like, in a perfect world, the draft comes before free agency, like it does in the NBA and other sports. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. I would say that for me, if you want to make sure that you don't make a mistake by passing on Thibodeaux if he's there, you need to get an edge rusher in free agency, and you have to feel good that Lawson is coming back from that Achilles injury. Hopefully by the time the draft rolls around, you can see him running around a little bit, because that's going to be like 9 months at that point. And we saw Cam Akers come back, and he looks pretty explosive in about 9 months as well. So
can't hold on to the football, though.
What was that?
Can't hold on to the football, Cam Akers.
You can't. Oh, it's crazy. Keeps coughing it up. I don't know. So for me, I guess if you're hedging your bets and you're not 100% sold on Thibodeaux or that he's going to be there at 4, you got to go edge in free agency. And I think that someone like a Chandler Jones, a Justin Houston, I have no problem taking a veteran edge rusher this year. That's kind of what Curry was supposed to be. If you can get Justin Houston on a year or 2, whatever it is, maybe someone else. I'm sure there's some other guys hitting the market, but I would have no problem with that. So you can surround your quarterback, because we saw this past weekend that defense almost doesn't matter. Like, you need offense and you need to score points. And I want Thibodeaux, but if you're not sold on him, you got to get an edge rusher in free agency. So Richie, as far as the mock that that he's talking about, the Pro Football Focus mock. So some of the weird ones that kind of went a little bit later. Karlaftis, I think, fell to 15. I think 16 was actually, do I have my list? I don't. Is this the right one? Pickett 9. I don't know. I think Nakobe Dean fell to like the Cowboys. I think Linderbaum fell 1 pick later at 25. It was like it was interesting to see how far they dropped.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I guess in a sense, 𝐒𝐿 four with Thibodeaux gone at 5. So Linderbaum, you have Thibodeaux and 𝐒𝐿. They take 𝐒𝐿, and then at 10 they take Drake London with Treylon Burks already off the board.
And Linderbaum's off the board. I think you said he went to in the top 10.
Treylon Burks went number 8.
And Linderbaum as well, no?
Linderbaum went 7.
Okay. So, yeah, when it comes to that, that number 4, that's the big decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big decision. It's really, really tough to see who they're going to pick if that is the decision. If Thibodeaux falls, is Douglas going to go O-line or not? I love the idea of surrounding Zach Wilson. I really, really do. A lot of factors goes into it. The one thing I will say is I genuinely really want a blue chip first-round pick for Robert Saleh to develop over time, and that's Kayvon Thibodeaux. I feel like we need someone. We had Carl Lawson, who's supposed to be the guy for the edge last year, and obviously he's supposed to be ready to go by training camp, and he's supposed to be the guy. And the thing that scares me of going the veteran route for the edge rusher alongside of Carl Lawson is the injury concern, man. I mean, both the edge rushers that we signed in the offseason didn't play one snap in the regular season, and that really scares me. So the Jets got to get young at the edge rusher position, and I really hope that they take one early in this draft. I just want everybody at this point. But and then when it comes to number 10, did Kyle Hamilton went already, correct? He didn't fall.
Hamilton went 3.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. The Drake London, I mean, he's an interesting prospect for me because he's obviously that typical 6'5", could go up there, get the 50-50 ball. A lot of people say he doesn't get separation. When you look at the tape, he kind of does. And there's a big factor. Are we trading for a receiver? Did we sign Allen Robinson? Are we going into the draft without, anybody, in free agency with a wide receiver spot? So a lot of factors going to go into it. But with the mindset of surrounding Zach Wilson, and that's Joe Douglas's, I love what he said. Considering the entire JD regime is tied to the success of Zach. That makes so much sense because he came to the Jets and watched the organization fail Sam Darnold. And yes, you could say Sam Darnold failed the Jets as well because we know that he's not doing anything in Carolina. But the truth of the matter is, whether Sam's a good quarterback or not, around him was a mess. No matter who the quarterback was, they would not have thrived in that system. And we understand Joe Douglas saw it first and literally saw it every single day when he went to work. His first year here as a Jets GM. And he traded Sam, and he understood that this is his only opportunity to be a long-term GM in this league is if he hits on the draft pick of Zach Wilson and surrounding him with explosive playmakers and protection. So I would not be shocked if that's his forefront. And he trusts Robert Saleh's scheme, and he trusts the defensive coaching staff to get the best out of guys like Brendan Eccles in the 6th round, guys like Michael Carter II in the 5th round. And someone said in the chat, I forgot who it was earlier, and they said, Richie, I agree with you. People forget what this defense looked like in the beginning of the year. And that's pretty crazy because I forgot about that. Going into the season, this is really crazy. I think all Jets fans heading into week number 1, we were expecting the offense to be better than the defense because of the injuries. We lost Carl Lawson. We cut Bless Austin at the time, which we were always shocked about. Brandon Eccles is a starter. We're just so young all over the place, and we're really excited about our young offense. So the expectation was the offense will be better out of the gate. Well, it was the opposite. The defense kept us in every single game. They were getting to the quarterback. They held the Patriots. Remember week number 2? If Zach Wilson did not have those 4 interceptions, I feel like that would have been a game that went down to the wire. And the defense was sort of healthy at that time. So what I'm trying to say is I feel like Joe Douglas trusts the defensive coaches and the defensive staff to develop young guys later in the draft, like we did with an Eccles, like we did with the Michael Carter II, like they're hopeful with Nasruddin and Sherwood. And they want to get the blue chip offensive pieces early to surround Zach to ensure that this guy is going to have every single opportunity to the point where there's no excuses for Zach. To the point where, listen, you have the craziest weapons of protection around you. You have to be an elite quarterback. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to survive. I don't want to say elite. I don't want to use that word, but a good quarterback that's a franchise caliber guy. So I love the idea of the Joe Douglas regime is tied to the success of Zach because that's definitely true.
For those of you guys wondering, Drake London, 6'5", 210 pounds. He had 88 receptions, 1,084 yards, 7 touchdowns. He had 19 contested catches. That was first in the country. 22 forced missed tackles. That was 7th in the country out of 1,006 receivers. And he only played in 8 games before he broke his ankle. So this is the kind of receiver you're winding up getting at number 10, according to Pro Football Focus. Green Bean, how do you feel about 𝐒𝐿 4, Drake London 10? Do you think that Joe Douglas's career is tied to the success of Zach Wilson, or do you think he, maybe doesn't go that route with the draft?
I don't know if his career is tied to Zach Wilson. I think in many respects, he better hit on him. But at the same time, I think it's more about the rest of the team. Like if the rest of the team is strong and doing well, like we have a great offensive line, we have a good defensive front, we have strong, wide receivers or whatever else. I think if everything else is strong and Zach Wilson ends up faltering, he'll be allowed to pick another quarterback. I don't think it's as cut and dry as everybody likes to make it seem. It's not, like people, I'm reading a lot that the clock is ticking on Joe. I just could not disagree more. Same. I think that when he sat down with the Johnsons, he told them, look, this is the reason I'm not taking a 4-year contract with you buttholes is because I'm not coming into this shit show. In 2 years, you get a hair up your ass that I'm not quick enough, and you're going to fire me. I don't want to even come here if that's the case. I need 6 years to undo your mess and have time to rebuild it. And that's what we've seen him doing. There's been a lot of tear down, a lot of moving the guys that we thought were going to be core foundational pieces. He spent 1.5 years moving those guys and acquiring assets to be able to rebuild. So I think Zach Wilson is important. I don't know if Zach Wilson ends up being a bust if Joe Douglas is out, but it depends on what he does elsewhere as well. Clearly, we know he's a strong trader. Clearly, we know that he's been able to find gems in the later rounds as well. The 2020 draft is struggling. The 2021 draft looks pretty good, but that can flip. Look, like I say all the time, just because somebody fails their rookie or second year doesn't mean they're going to be a bust. And just because somebody comes out of the gate like a rocket doesn't mean they're going to go on to be Hall of Fame players. It doesn't always work like that, man. Guys that come out and look great, a year or two later, they're forgotten and gone. That happens all the time. Sheldon Richardson is one of my favorite examples for that. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now he's a journeyman, and he was a journeyman 3 years later. We traded him to Seattle for a second. He was there 1 year. He went to Detroit for 1 year. He went to Cleveland for 2 years. I think he's on the Vikings or something now. So we don't even know where he is. And we all thought he was going to be a mainstay here for a decade. So, and that happens all the time. So I think, about that draft, look, like me and Richie were kind of saying a few minutes ago, if Joe Douglas just decides, hey, man, just like Richie said, I feel like we can develop. I like Tony Oden. I like my defensive coaches to develop players. I like the way that they do it, and I have confidence in them to be able to do that. And I need to just make sure the offense is lethal, and he goes that way. Fine. Do I think he's going to? No, I don't think that's the way this draft is going to go. I don't think with this strong of a defensive draft, again, of the 4 of the top 5, or no, wait, what is it? 6 of the top 10 players. Oh, no, sorry. 8 of the top 10 players are defense on most big boards, and 8 or 16 of the top 20 are defense. So you don't ignore that and just go for the position that you want because you want it on your team. You can likely get a strong candidate for that position in the next round, and you take the potential greatness where it is. You need studs. We need freaks. If we have a safety freak and a linebacker freak and a left tackle freak and a quarterback freak, so be it. But you need your freaks. And I think that you don't ignore where the strength of the draft is just because you want certain positions. But would I be unhappy? No.
Guys, before we jump over to any tap super chat, I want to make some time for our sponsor of the channel, DraftKings. 4 teams remaining in the NFL playoffs, and that means only 4 teams left for you to bet on at DraftKings Sportsbooks, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 56, new customers can get 56-1 odds on any team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. Not a new customer? You can experience the conference championships with the same game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for bigger payouts. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JetsTalk to get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code JetsTalk for 56-1 odds at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full details. Must be 21 or older and physically present in New York. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. Woo! All right. Let's get over to Tap's Super Chat. Taps any button. Thank you, brother. Says, if Thibodeaux or Hutchinson is not there at number 4, draft O-line, then at number 10, draft wide receiver, or trade down, then draft wide receiver or linebacker. I believe we need offense first. I'm not using either of our top 10 picks on defense if it's not defensive line. So taps any button. Seems like he's on sort of the same wavelength of the edge rusher at number 4, but also likes the idea of offensive line. Interesting. I agree with you. You're singing to the choir. That's exactly how I feel. If I could trade down from 10, let's take part of your question, because I agree with number 4, and I think the rest of us are all somewhere in some sort-ish of agreement. If we had to trade down from number 10, Richie, what position would it be that you would want to look for, given the strength of the draft, where you think some players might be going? Who would you look for trading down from 10? Let's say in one situation you get an edge rusher at 4, in one situation you get an offensive lineman at number 4. Your thoughts?
Yeah, say we get an edge rusher at number 4. We're sitting at number 10, and we trade back. Maybe you can trade back and still get one of those top receivers that's available. If you want to double dip and get another, say Linderbaum's still available somehow, if he's get there, because he did not get an offensive line at 4. But if you get an offensive lineman at number 4 and you trade back from number 10, I like getting a linebacker. Maybe Nakobe Dean is someone that falls, and Devin Lloyd is someone that falls. I feel like in the mid first round, I feel like those are the type of players that are most likely in my eyes. The linebackers, maybe a wide receiver. It really depends on the free agency, obviously, but we all knew that already. There's so many different scenarios, whether what we do at 4 is really going to determine what we do at 10, especially if we're going to be trading in a scenario. So, like I said, edge rusher at 4, we trade back from 10. I would like to get an offensive player, whether that's a Linderbaum that fell, or maybe that's a Drake London that fell, or another top receiver like Wilson. And then if we get an offensive lineman at number 4, we move back from 10. Maybe we get a defensive player like Nakobe Dean or something like that.
Greenby, what about you? How are you feeling about the number 10 pick? If you were to trade down, and give us two ideas. If you got edge rusher, how would you address? Let's do yours, because you don't really want the offensive player at 4. You want either Hamilton or an edge rusher.
Yeah.
So let's give 2 examples. If you get Hamilton, what would you do? If you got an edge rusher, what would you do?
All right. So if Tibbs and Hutchinson are gone, and let's say the Jags take Evan Neal, and we're sitting there, we got Karlaftis, we got Hamilton sitting there. I'm taking the one I like the most. And for me, it's Hamilton, because I like 𝐒𝐿𝐫𝐲 just as much as I like Karlaftis, right? So I take Hamilton at 4. I'm at 10. We trade back to wherever, let's say to 20 or something like that. I would like to see the Jets grab the linebacker. That's what I would like to see. If Nakobe Dean is there, I take him. I like Devin Lloyd. Saleh might not. I'm a big fan of a little bit heavier linebackers. I like 250 bangers. He seems to like 225ers. And I don't really know what that is. It's coverage and all that. Whatever, man. If either one of those guys are there, I'm taking one of them. If they're gone and I'm at pick 20, I got Hamilton, and now Karlaftis is gone. The linebackers are gone. Then I can think offense. I might take the top receiver on the board. I might take the top offensive tackle on the board, somebody that can play guard. If Linderbaum is still there, and I'm predicting that he will be, he'll be there in the teens at least. He might make it to 20, and I might grab him there. Something like that. I'd be fine taking anything. If you're at 20, that's when you're fine. You got your categories, and just you take the highest player on your board, so to speak, at a position of need. The good news is we need a few of them. So I would be fine taking whoever I needed that the highest player I had rated was there for.
So you mentioned Devin Lloyd and how Saleh may not like him. Is there something that you think sort of triggers that reaction, or The only reason I'm asking is Fred Warner from the 49ers is 6'3", 230, and it seems like Devin Lloyd sort of fits that like mold of a player.
Let me check. I believe Devin Lloyd is 250. Hold on.
Yeah, I know Lloyd is definitely 6'3". I don't remember the weight offhand.
Let me see. No, he's smaller than I thought. He's 232. So maybe not, man. I thought he was 250. I had that confused with I don't know who, because nobody's too fucking 50. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they like them both. And the cool thing about Devin Lloyd is that Phil Savage figured out how to get him on our Senior Bowl team. Our Senior Bowl team is absolutely stocked. Anybody of interest, I would say 9 out of every 10 players that we might be interested in the Senior Bowl is on our team. And I think Phil Savage did a great job working with the Senior Bowl staff that he used to be the boss of, getting us all those players. So Devin Lloyd's on our Senior Bowl team, so maybe they fall in love with him. That would be fantastic because I happen to like Devin Lloyd a whole bunch. Him and Dean are interchangeable for me as far as how much I think they can impact our team. I'd be fine with either one of them. So yeah, he's 232. For some reason, I thought I had him at 250 in my brain. So that's why I was saying that.
I saw someone in the chat earlier, and I don't know if this is true or if it was just someone spamming. I just looked up the Senior Bowl roster, and Lloyd is on the Jets roster, like we all knew, but someone said earlier that he's not participating in the Senior Bowl. So I don't know if that's actually true or not.
Right? Why not?
I mean, it might be true just because he's a first-round pick. Maybe he just goes through practice and he doesn't actually like play in the game. I could see that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
if that's
it's smart, dude. It's smart, man. If these guys know they're going to be first-round picks, it's stupid to play in the Senior Bowl, man. Dumb. You end up getting hurt, If
Jalen Smith and Jameson Williams have taught you anything, if you are a top 15 pick, first-round pick, don't play in your bowl game. I don't care. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Think of yourself. Number one always comes first. Aaron A. Jacobs, brother, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, I feel like 3 of the following makes for a perfect free agent haul: Dalton Schultz, Marcus Williams, Laken Tomlinson, Carlton Davis, Michael Gallup. Love the content. Big offseason coming up. Go Jets. Thank you, Aaron. I think we're all in agreement on Dalton Schultz. Top tight end on the market. Would love to spend some money and get him, because you don't want to roll the dice on getting a tight end in the draft. I would love getting a secondary tight end. We all want McBride, but there's no guarantee that he's going to be there for us when we make our pick. I like Marcus Williams a lot. I'm torn on what I think Douglas thinks of safeties, though. That's my big issue. Is I would love to get him, but after how he's handled Jamal Adams, Marcus May, LaMarcus Joyner, and Ashton Davis, it doesn't seem like he's investing any sort of high assets into that type of position. Tomlinson, perfect fit. If you think Becton is legit, go after Tomlinson, the guard from the 49ers, sign him, give him a 3-year deal. Or if you want to go after James Daniels, the guard from the Bears, he's like 24, 25 years old.
Yep.
Even better. Fantastic. You lock up your guard position. The only reason I would say maybe don't do that, like I would like LDT and then maybe gamble on like the guard tackle combo at the top of the draft. But I like Tomlinson a lot. Carlton Davis, I sort of flip-flop back and forth on. I would love a reason to get J.C. Jackson, and I don't know if Douglas will spend the money on him. Carlton Davis, I had us mocked with him just because he's a little bit cheaper. I have no idea how he handled the cornerback position. I'm thoroughly perplexed, to be perfectly honest. Michael Gallup, I love, but he's an ACL tear. I'm not taking an established receiver with an ACL tear right now. The same reason I wouldn't take Godwin. I think Godwin and Gallup both sign 1-year contracts with their current teams and hit free agency next year when they can cash in on a bigger deal. Richie, how you feeling about this list of free agents that Mr. Aaron Jacobs gave us?
Hey, man, if we can get 3 of these guys, sign me up. Just randomize it. I don't care. And make sure Schultz is in there because we need a tight end, man. Sign Schultz, draft 2 tight ends, revamp the room, right, Green Bean? Listen,
right.
I'm all about these guys. I like Marcus Williams. I feel like he's an ascending player in this league. He's like been in the league for a while. And you look at his age, he's like 25. Mm-hmm. And you bring up a good point, Ryan. You don't really know how much Joe Douglas values the safety position. I mean, hell, we had like 11 different safeties out there this year. Like, it was crazy. We started off with Joyner in May, and all of a sudden, at the end of the season, we signed guys off the street that actually started balling out, like Elijah Riley. He came out of nowhere, and he was an actual stud. We got Jason Pinnock lining up at safety. We'll see how that project goes. But Marcus Williams, definitely high on him. Laken Tomlinson, I mean, hey, he comes from the same system. He's a young guy. He's a former first-round pick. sign me up. Throw him the bag. Offensive line should be the priority at all times. And Carlton Davis, he's a Super Bowl champion. Maybe he's really young. He's 25. He's not going to cost that much. He knows what it's like to win. So if they want to go out there and bring in a guy that's going to be a starter that's still young with upside, I can see Davis. And then Michael Gallup, we got to take a flyer. Someone coming off injury, I believe. And we have to – I wouldn't really be too interested in Gallup, depending on the contract for sure. But if we give him like a one-year deal similar to like if he replaces like 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐿 Cole, for example, I feel like that would make some sense.
Green Bean, what about you? How are you feeling about this list of free agents we got here?
Yeah, I think that's great. I like the idea of a vet cornerback too, because you look at our our defensive back room. We don't know what the safety position is going to look like, but even the way it stands now, we have all young guys back there. They're really a young group, and I think 𝐒𝐿, as much as I like him and think he's an asset to the team, I think that we probably could use an upgrade there and have 𝐒𝐿 kind of the first guy off the bench, so to speak. So taking a vet like a Carlton Davis and sticking him in there, even though I saw that he was fined by the NFL, so maybe that's a character concern. I don't know. But, so we take a nice vet cornerback and stick him in there with that young group. I think that's the perfect way to use free agency, not to try to go out there and rebuild our team in free agency. It's like nice selected spots. Like you go get a vet wide receiver, fine. You go get a vet cornerback and place him with that group. Great. That's the way I think we should do it. I'm also a big fan of Dalton Schultz. If Dallas lets him hit free agency, dude, we got to be all over him, man. We got to be sticky. Nobody talks to him without us being right there. Like that's the way it's got to be, in my opinion. We got to come away with that guy if he hits free agency. I'd be upset if we didn't. If somebody outbids us or some shit by $500,000 or something along those lines, that would bother me. But I think it'd be great, man. Any combo of those guys. I love Marcus Williams. Love Carlton Davis. Gallup, I'm with you, Ryan. That said, I think like him and Godwin, it's ACLs. We're not talking about Achilles. We're not talking about MCLs. We're talking about ACLs. People come back from that stuff all the time these days. So I'm not as concerned. I might require some incentive-laden contract specifics, though. But I'd be happy if we signed Gallup. And let's say we came away with Marcus Williams, Schultz, and Carlton Davis, and then maybe Michael Gallup. I'd be psyched. That'd be a good one. I think it's a good group, Aaron.
I think if Dalton Schultz comes to the Jets, regardless of how any other free agents go, I'm going to be very, very happy. That's like the one crown jewel that I think all Jet fans are kind of on the same page with. It's so rare to get us all together out like that. Guys, we got about 10 minutes before we do our t-shirt giveaway, so make sure you hit a like on that video. We have a few qualifiers already. We got Brian, Leon, Lucas, Sourland, Liberal Irishman, Red Dog, Gohan Angered, Fat Gandalf, Jets Gang, Joe Campone, and Big Al. You guys are all qualified for our t-shirt giveaway. We're going to be doing that in about 10 minutes time. Garcus Bloodlust drops with a super chat, says good offensive line amplifies quarterback and receiver, and good receiver amplifies offensive line and quarterback. It's not best player available. It's what works best for that team at that time. Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie. Best player available is ideally how you would like to work the draft. But if the best player available is a quarterback and you have your established quarterback, you're clearly not going to do that. So there is a delicate balance between need and want. Like hindsight, do we go with Quinnen Williams or do we go with Josh Allen, the edge rusher? Probably hindsight, we're looking at Josh Allen. But I don't know. It's interesting nonetheless, but I do agree with you. Good offensive line will give the quarterback more time, which allows the receivers more time to get open. And a good receiver who can get open faster is going to help the quarterback and the offensive line. I don't think we have any argument there. Alex Janice jumps in the super chat, says, did we pay John Franklin Myers too much since we still need an edge? John Franklin Myers was signed this year at the beginning of the season, but I don't believe he was signed to be our edge. I believe he was signed to be here long-term and to play next to Quinnen Williams inside. So we still need to bring in an edge opposite Carl Lawson. Richie, your thoughts on John Franklin Myers? Do we pay him too much?
No, we did not pay him too much. We gave him the money where we needed to. If we waited till the offseason, he would have been asking for more money. And some people are, saying that John Franklin Myers had a bad season. If you look at his numbers, he really didn't. He was a top 10, top 15 in a lot of different categories, and he played out of position. The good thing about JFM that he is versatile. He can play on the edge, but unfortunately for us, we had so many injuries on the edge, so John Franklin Myers had to play outside. He's more comfortable inside. All we have to do is get an edge rusher, whether that's through free agency or through the draft, kick JFM on the inside next to Quinnen Williams or Carl Lawson. That's what the defensive line vision is. This signing was more for the future of this defensive line rather than, anything else. He was not signed to be an edge rusher, like you said, Ryan. I'm very happy that we signed him at the time, and I'm still happy we signed him now, because if he was entering free agency right now, and that was a big question mark. Picture where our heads are at right now. We have to re-sign Braxton Berrios. We have to re-sign John Franklin Myers. If John Franklin Myers walks, we got to go out there and sign another defensive lineman. Who's it going to be? It's a stress we don't have to worry about. At this point, we're going to have to start paying our players. And I feel like John Franklin Myers got the contract he deserved. And the best part about John Franklin Myers, he's only 25 years old. And I think the best is yet to come. We have not seen the full potential of JFM just yet. And I think we're going to see that this upcoming year.
Iowan Jet fan. Whoop, where'd it go? Hold on. Iowan Jets fan. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I think JD will solidify the safety position this year. Adams May weren't his guys. This strong safety class will be his springboard. Green Bean, I know you're high on Hamilton and the safeties in general. How do you think Joe Douglas solidifies the safety position?
Yeah, I think if the top three go, like the top three edges are gone, I think you guys better brace yourselves, because I think Hamilton's coming. I think he's too good. In the event he doesn't take Hamilton, the good news is that this is a very deep safety class, the deepest since we blew it by not taking Ed Reed in 2002. It is the deepest safety class since 2002, which I know a lot of people in here are too young to remember, but I was watching the damn draft, which was held at Madison Square Garden, and I was fucking yelling Ed Reed's name, and we took Brian Thomas because we were going to get at safety in the second round, and we did that, and we got John McGraw, who I liked as much as anybody else, but it wasn't Ed Reed. He played for the Jets for 3 years. He had a 10-year career with 10 total picks. Ed Reed had 64. He was the pick, and there were people saying you can't take a safety in the first round. Blah, 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 blah. The other safety in the first round that year was Roy Williams, another perennial Pro Bowler. He'll probably be in the Hall of Fame as well. And that's the way I see Kyle Hamilton. But if we don't take him, there are some really, really good safeties. It's a little bit riskier. There are guys that you can get that would start right away for you all the way into the fourth round probably. So it's a good safety class to double dip, and I think that Joe Douglas just might do that this year. I think it's the reason that he hasn't really taken a tight end or safety in the draft all outside of the first one with Ashton Davis, because he knew Jamal Adams was not long for the team, and we didn't yet. I think he did that, but I think that Joe Douglas is paying attention to the strengths of the potential classes, and safety and tight end are two very strong strengths. Very strong strengths. You like that? Of this draft class, and I expect to see us take at least one, potentially two of each position in this offseason.
I actually have a quick question about the safety position for you guys.
Yeah.
There is and I cannot believe somebody in the chat just stole it from me. That's pretty crazy. John, there's a free agent, Jesse Bates, that I'm very high on from the Cincinnati Bengals. 24 years old, picked off Ryan Tannehill in divisional round. Makes big-time plays. I'm curious your thoughts if he could be a potential target for the Jets in free agency.
Would love him. The Bengals have like $50 million in cap space. I don't think he's leaving. I think he gets tagged.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be the tag guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's staying. They're going to try to
He's
keep
really
that
good.
team
I have no
together.
problem. Like, him or Williams would have no problem with either one. I think Bates gets tagged. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing Douglas going pricey on a free agent safety. Richard Delgado jumps in with the super chat, says, how to rebuild. Number one, trade for Goff. Oh, Richard, I'll call him Richard. I should just call him Dick Delgado, because he does this every stream I'm on. How to rebuild. 1, trade for Goff. 2, trade up for Neal. 3, draft Linderbaum. 4, give Greg Van Roten and Trent Williams contract, a Trent Williams sized contract. Make Mims a number one wide receiver. success. Richard, not spending any more mental processing power on that comment. All right. Mike Jerome drops in the super chat, says the 49ers are where they are with defense. We can get Zach a free agent, Robinson, Schultz, Sheriff. If we can't get Thibodeaux, we really need to trade for and grab more picks, 𝐒𝐿𝐫𝐞𝐿, Johnson, Lloyd, Gardner, McDuffie. I don't really want Sheriff. Maybe I'm in the minority here. He's going to command a lot of money. He's getting $18 million right now playing on his franchise tag. I think he's going to look for somewhere in the 13 to 15 on a long-term deal. And he's only played in like, I'd have to look, but I think it's like half the games in the last 2 years. Schultz and Robinson, I'm totally on board with. If you can swap out Sheriff for like Tomlinson or Daniels or LDT, like there's a few other guards I would prefer probably. And then trading down from number 4, I'm kind of on board with like how Greenbean and Richie have been saying about the blue chip players. Like if you solidify your offensive line and you know that Becton is the guy, you have faith that he's going to be what you think he's going to be long-term, then I think you go Hamilton. I don't think you trade out of 4. I do think 4 is the more valuable pick. And if someone's looking to come up for a quarterback, like specifically Atlanta or Washington looking to leapfrog Carolina, but if they think the quarterbacks aren't going to go till like 9, 10, 11, then you might just have to wait. It kind of sucks. It's one of those situations where like the Jets drafted Jamal Adams at number 6, and then the Chiefs were able to trade up to number 10 to get Patrick Mahomes. They give up a first, a third, and a next year's first, but that trade wasn't offered to the Jets. Like they could have gone up that far to get Mahomes, and we might have been able to go back. I don't know. It's interesting. Richie, how you feeling about trading number 4 if we go heavy offense in free agency?
Yeah, first of all, I like that he brought up the 49ers because people should watch this NFC Championship closely, guys, because we are the San Francisco Jets in a way. I keep looking at this 49ers team. I'm looking at it closely, the offensive scheme, the defensive scheme. You can still see Robert Saleh's blueprints, his fingerprints all over that defense, the way they play. You really can, and I love that. If you guys remember, Robert Saleh's defense was a big reason why that they were in the Super Bowl in 2019. So I'm actually rooting for the Niners just because of the Jets' connection with them. But they are in because of their defense for sure. But their offense and Kyle Shanahan and their running attack is just through the roof. But getting back to the question at hand, it really determines if there's a quarterback needy team that wants to give up a haul for us, and it really determines of who's available at number 4. Hutchinson and Thibodeaux and Neal all go in the top 3 hypothetically, and Hableton's still there, and all these other guys are still there. It's going to be really interesting to see if there is one team that really wants that 4th pick. And knowing Joe Douglas, I feel like he'd love to trade back. Really depends on a lot of different factors, obviously. But I am really thinking that this draft is going to be one of those drafts where Joe Douglas is going all over the place, moving up, moving back. We saw him being really aggressive last year by trading up for AVT. I wouldn't be shocked if he wants to move back in this draft to acquire that capital back. Because we gave up 2 third-round picks, which was so worth it for Elijah Vera-Tucker. So in his mind, he might be like, you know what? I might trade back from 4 to 9 or 4 to whatever and get some more second, third-round picks so we can really compact this draft because he trusts his scouting and his all of his departments in order to develop these guys and pick the right people late in the draft. So I would not be shocked if the Jets are moving down in this draft at least once in the first round.
Greenbean, what about you? If they go heavy offense in free agency, how do you feel about trading number 4?
Yeah, do it. If Tibbs and Hutch are gone, and somebody look, it's like we said. I was seeing some stuff on Twitter. I got into a conversation today. Somebody was highlighting what the 49ers gave up to trade up to grab Trey Lance, which essentially is 3 first-round picks and a third. Would you take that to slide back 6 spots? I would. 3 first-round picks, and you're still at 6 and 10? I think if somebody came calling and they wanted to get ahead of the Giants or whoever they think is going to grab a quarterback, and they want Matt Corral or maybe they want Hamilton or whatever it is, and somebody goes, hey, man, we're going to give you 3 first-round picks. This one, 2023 and 2024. We're going to give that to you to slide back to, let's say it's 6 spots. So we slide back. Well, you can't because that's us. Let's say it's 5 spots to 9. So we have 9 and 10 and 2 additional firsts and an extra third this year. You taking that? I take that. I say hello. Thank you very much. So I would do it.
I would love to trade down from 4, but do you think the quarterback class is strong enough to justify someone coming up? Do you think someone does it?
I think that the quarterback class is strong enough to say that it compares with the third quarterback back of last year. Maybe not Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. And I think the Niners would have loved to get either one of those guys. And I think that they traded up with a little bit of the hope that the Sam Darnold thing would happen again. Like their top guy would slide through like Max did. Mm-hmm. But I think they obviously like Trey Lance enough. But I think you look at where the Niners traded up to 3, they knew 2 quarterbacks were going to be gone. So is Matt Corral and whoever else, are they as good as the third quarterback down as last year? I think that argument could be made, sure.
Ooh, okay. All right, interesting. Last super chat here, we got Mike Jerome says, so if Detroit or the Eagles offer 2 firsts for number 4, you get pick 15 and 19. We're not doing that. So many playmakers available. Look, if you could give me 15 and 19 for number 4, yeah, I'm going to do it. It's not going to happen though. I don't think it happens. I'd be very surprised. The Eagles were in dire cap hell last year. I think they're going to use all 3 of their first round picks. And as much as teams want to trade back with the thought of, the Eagles giving up a bunch of picks, I don't think it's going to happen. Not in the first round, at least. Richie, any thoughts with the Eagles trading their picks?
Yeah, if they offer this to us, we move back from 4 and we can get picks 10, 15, and 19. Hello, but I just don't see it happening.
Green Bean, I'm going to have you go over to last week's Talkin' Jets stream. I want you to find 5 commenters for me for our t-shirt giveaway. We've reached the end of our stream. I have Brian Leon, Lucas Sauerland, Liberal Irishman, Red Dog, Gohan Angered, Fat Gandalf, Jets Gang, Joe Campone, Big Al, and Riley Wilson as our qualifiers. Green Bean's going to get us 5 more. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Oh, so guys, story time while Green Bean's looking this up. I have off in the winter. We got baby coming in June. So my job is to renovate a bathroom. So myself was breaking tile and ripping things off walls today. Dude, I'm all gashed up. I might have to go on the injured reserve right now. Literally chips flying everywhere. I'm bleeding coming out of the friggin' bathroom. Loved it though. Absolutely loved it.
You're getting all the dirty work right there. You got to post it before and after.
Dude, I do have a before, and I took a middle. I have to wait for the after because I'm going to be down in Florida for a little bit. Hence the tropical shirt. Your boy's going on vacation for 4 days.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, fun.
Where in Florida?
I'm going to Sarasota. I'm seeing my parents.
Nice.
Nothing crazy.
It's a nice warm weather though. It's been brutal up here.
It's going to be 70 degrees down there, I think, is what I saw initially. It'd be quite nice. Today wasn't too bad. I walked outside in a t-shirt, so it wasn't bad. But I might have just been sweating from breaking stones in my bathroom. Green Bean, you got 5 names for us?
Sure do.
All right, fire away.
All right, we got Michael Hart. Hart.
All right.
We got John Hepburn, who's in the chat tonight.
All right.
We have Manny C.
All right.
And we got Stud City 718, who is also in the chat tonight.
And one more.
Oh, I can't count to 5, it seems.
Richie Malora.
Richie wants a Wall Street Wilson shirt.
Yeah.
I'll get you one, Richie.
Let's say Jonathan Richter.
Jonathan Richter. Pretty sure he was in the chat as well today. Richie, I don't think you've ever played odds or evens with us, have you? Or no?
I don't think so.
All right, here we go. All right, so when I count down to 3, you're going to throw up some number of fingers on the screen, and the total sum across all 3 of us is going to be an odd or an even number. And I'm going to cross off names on my list, and we're going to continue this until I have 1 name remaining. And the final round, the chat gets to pick a number as well. So warm up your fingers.
So
3,
1 to 5?
Whatever you want. Sometimes we get double digits in there.
Nice.
No feet. Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. That's 7. All right, we're crossing off the odds. Bam, 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 bam. All right, 3, 2, 1. 4, 5, 6, 7. Odds again. Crossing off. Oh, no. I love seeing Fat Gandalf's name come up because it makes me smile every time, and I just crossed his name off, and I'm very upset. All right, chat. First number to pop up will be the number that goes with us as well. So, Richie Greenbean, 3, 2, 1. Was that 5, 6? And the first number was 23. We got an odd number. All right. So our winner for tonight's T-shirt giveaway, Joe Campone. Joe Campone, reach out to me on Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, something like that. Let me get your shipping information, T-shirt size, all that. I'll send you a shirt. Really looking forward to it. Guys, this is the end of our stream. Been a lot of fun. We're going to go around our panel for some closing thoughts. Greenbean, any last words for our panel?
Yeah. So tonight's the first night we are not doing the after hours show. That has been moved to Monday nights for the 10 o'clock mocks. I will say that on Wednesday is the first of my Patreon classic Jets game watch parties. We're doing the Midnight Miracle. If you want to get in on that private viewing of the Midnight Miracle, you can sign up to my Patreon on my website, greenbeanjetsfan.com. We're doing stuff every single week. It's going to be awesome.
I love it. Richie, any last words for our panel?
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure to hop on the stream. I see a lot of people in the chat saying that they think I look like a young Sylvester Stallone. I don't know. I don't know if you guys see that, but that's an interesting comparison there.
I think he looks like a Mike White, personally.
I am Mike White. I'll never forget that. I witnessed that Mike White game in person. But no, it's always a pleasure to hop on here, talk some Jets with Greenbean, with Ryan, with Matt before he left. Interact with all you guys in the chat. It's always a lot of fun. We got a lot of Jets content coming your way all throughout the season here on Jets Talk 24/7 on Greenbean's channel, of course on Matt's channel, and on mine as well. And it's always a pleasure, man. The Jets community is amazing. I really never, take it for granted that I get to wake up every day and do what I love and connect with fellow Jets fans across the planet Earth that we all live on. So it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, interact, debate, disagree, agree, all the great stuff. Appreciate all the support, guys. And this offseason is going to be great.
I love it. I love it. Boys and girls, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. My name's Ryan. I've been your pilot. This is Jets Talk signing off. Jets.
Jets.